You know the story of Esther, the young Jewish woman who, with courage and wisdom, became queen of Persia and saved her people from imminent destruction. But what if I told you that there is more to the story than traditional accounts reveal? That Esther story is full of intrigue, strategy, and sacrifice that shaped the destiny of a nation. Today, we will explore the untold secrets about Queen Esther. Her rise to the throne was not just a matter of luck, but a carefully planned move, with consequences that extended far beyond her own kingdom. The story of Esther is set during the height of the Persian Empire, one of the largest empires in history, spanning a vast region that stretched from India to Ethiopia. Ruled by King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes I, the empire was renowned for its military might and the decadent luxury of the Persian court. The Jews, scattered throughout this empire due to the Babylonian exile, lived in constant vulnerability, without political power and at the mercy of the king's decisions. Amid lavish feasts and political intrigue, Queen Vashti was deposed for disobeying the king's order, creating an unexpected opportunity for a new queen. In this context, Esther, a young, unknown, orphan Jewish woman, was chosen in the royal contest to become the new queen. Under the guidance of her cousin Mordecai, Esther kept her Jewish identity a secret, a crucial step that allowed her to navigate the complexities of the Persian court. With power in the hands of Haman, an advisor who detested the Jews, the situation became critical. Haman devised a plan to exterminate all the Jews, but Esther, with courage and strategy, used her position to reverse the fate of her people. While Haman plotted his destruction, Mordecai, with his wisdom and vision, guided Esther, preparing the ground for a decisive intervention. Esther, in an act of bravery, revealed her true identity to the king, exposing Haman's evil plan and ensuring the survival of the Jews. The story culminates with the fall of Haman and the rise of Mordecai, turning impending tragedy into a great victory. The holiday of Purim celebrates this turnaround and the quiet courage that saved a nation. Esther not only defied a powerful empire, but her story also highlights the importance of difficult decisions and personal sacrifice. She kept her secret to protect her people, and when the time was right, her courage and faith proved decisive in changing the course of history. Esther's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes true bravery is found in moments of silence and personal risk, and that when the time is right, the truth has the power to transform destinies. Esther found herself faced with a profound and agonizing dilemma. She was about to choose between silence, which would guarantee her temporary protection, and the imminent risk of exposing herself to the king without invitation. Choosing silence would mean condemning her people to destruction. In contrast, risking her life by revealing her true identity and pleading for the salvation of her people would be an act of bravery, but also of immense danger. At this critical moment, Mordecai delivered a decisive message that would define the course of history. Who knows if you have not become queen for such a time as this? Esther 4 verse 14. Mordecai's words touched Esther deeply, awakening in her the awareness that her rise to power had a greater divine purpose. Esther understood that her position in the palace was no mere coincidence, but rather part of a heavenly plan to save her people. Recognizing the magnitude of her mission, she prepared herself for the challenge by fasting for 3 days, asking the Jewish people to pray for her, while she also prepared herself spiritually for the crucial meeting with the king. This act of faith was a testament to her dependence on God and her certainty that divine help was essential to the success of her mission. After fasting, Esther dressed in her royal robes and went to the palace, aware of the gravity of the situation. The court was full of spectators, and King Ahasuerus was on the throne, in a position of power and uncertainty. The moment was critical. If the king did not extend the scepter to her, Esther would face instant death. However, at that moment, God was with her. The king, upon seeing her, extended the scepter, allowing Esther to approach. Wisely, Esther chose not to immediately plead for the lives of her people, but instead organized a banquet for the king and Haman. With intelligence, she began to unravel the evil plan against the Jews. Esther did not make her decision rashly. Her courage was based on a deep faith in God and in her ability to act at the right time. The phrase, "If I perish, I perish," Esther 4 verse 16, is an example of her total surrender to God's will. Esther knew that, despite the risk, she had to act on behalf of her people, trusting that God was in control. Her decision to confront Haman and the decree of death was a landmark in the history of the Jews, resulting in a radical change in the destiny of her people. After the revelation of Esther's identity and Haman's evil plan, King Ahasuerus, overcome with indignation, ordered Haman's execution. Using the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai, justice was served in an ironic way, symbolizing the destruction of the evil planned against the Jews. However, the fight was not yet completely over, because the decree of extermination remained in effect. Under Persian law, a royal decree could not simply be annulled, so the challenge was to find a solution to save the people without breaking the law. Esther and Mordecai, now in a new position of power and influence, drafted a new decree that allowed the Jews to defend themselves. The king agreed, and a new edict was issued, authorizing the Jews to arm themselves and fight against their enemies. This decree turned the tide in favor of the Jews, transforming a scenario of despair into an opportunity for resistance and survival. On the day appointed for the massacre, the Jews rose up and defeated their enemies, turning the imminent tragedy into a great victory. The festival of Purim was established to celebrate this victory and the divine intervention that transformed a day of mourning into a day of joy and gratitude. The story of Esther reveals that even when God is not directly mentioned, His providence is at work, guiding events and preparing salvation. The courage of Esther, the wisdom of Mordecai, and the unity of the Jewish people exemplify how God can work through seemingly hopeless circumstances to bring redemption. The story of Esther is a powerful reminder that God is present even in the most difficult times, and that by trusting in Him, we can face great challenges. Esther, through her courage and faith, not only saved her people, but also became an eternal symbol of bravery and wisdom. Her story teaches us that no matter the hardship, faith and courage can transform destiny and lead to victory. As we reflect on Esther's life, we are inspired to seek the courage to face our own challenges, trusting that God is always with us, working for the good of those who trust in Him.